a game. Think of a famous painting. It is an old artwork painting during the Renaissance era. It is a portrait of a person that no one really knows about. Its certain smiles captures the heart of its audience. Do you know what this painting is? You guessed it, the famous Mona Lisa painting. The Mona Lisa portrait is today's re-owned work of art, but if you think of it, it's just fine. What's the explanation for the Mona Lisa? Why is she so famous? Is it really that much better than Da Vinci's Lady with Ermine? I mean, it seems better. Look at her. She's holding a ferret. But it's Mona Lisa who is so famous that the director of the Louvre, where Mona Lisa lives, said 80% of the visitors are only there to see that one painting. Here's a video that I took when I visited the Louvre. It was during tourist season and a lot of rude people were pushing me out of the way just to get a picture of the art. Stupid tourists. If you are people like me who don't think Mona Lisa is that famous because she's somehow 10 times better than other paintings, her story reveals something more interesting. Something about her art breaks into wider culture. But first, we're going to dive right into the background of her era where she was painted, the Renaissance. So hop into your time machine and let's head back to the 14th century, the Renaissance in Florence, Italy. Here's a fun fact for you. Florence is the coolest, where they're looking for art, literature, political schemes, larger-than-life characters, things being set on fire, or the single greatest dome in history. This city is the beating heart of the Renaissance. Thing is, Florence seems like an unlikely candidate for civilization, changing rebirth of classical glory. Florence has a pretty quiet start. First founded by Julius Caesar as a military camp in 59 BC, getting caught in a roller coaster war between the Roman and the Byzantine Empire. Around 774, it was nominally glommed by the Holy Roman Empire in the medieval era. It's also during this turn of the 1300s that Florence takes recognition shape by spending their newfound wealth on construction projects. The government got a new church of
Santa Croce, Santa Maria del Fiore, Palazzo della Signoria.
My hotel was right next to it. But before they can finish the dome, they faced a huge problem: the plague. The population dropped and half entire families fell off the map. Banks disappeared. Farms went completely unattended. And basically, the entire ecosystem collapsed overnight. See, for all the cash money that Venice traders brought back to Italy from the Near East in 1347, they also brought along the Black Death, and a year later, it spread to Florence. Luckily, a world-changing family brought Florence back on its feet. The family was the Medici. According to History Channel, members of the powerful Medici family, which ruled Florence for more than 60 years, were famous bankers of the movement. Not only did they help finish building the domeless cathedral, but Medici asked for some of the greatest artists to create some artwork that would enhance Florence's reputation as a place to go for a long-lost knowledge and groundbreaking art. One of them being none other than Leonardo da Vinci. Around 1467, at the age of 15, Leonardo was sent to Florence to work as an apprentice to
Andrea de Verrocchio,
to which later in his life he accepted a career as a painter guide of Florence. He went to painting the Annunciation, the Adoration of the Magi, the Virgin of the Rocks, the Last Supper, and of course, the Mona Lisa. In 1503, Da Vinci was asked by
Francesco del Giocondo
a portrait of his wife Lisa. The canvas was painted on a piece of wood which was 2.6 inches with 1.9 inches high. Because the painting was small, Leonardo would carry around the painting wherever he went. It took nearly 5 years to paint around 1506, but studies showed that the Mona Lisa was actually unfinished.
Bruh.
Believe it or not, Da Vinci didn't finish it up until his death. From the looks of it, you would assume that it was finished. What would the painting look like if Da Vinci hadn't finished it? We may never know. Fast forward in time around 1787 through 1799, during the French Revolutionary War, the Mona Lisa was hung in Napoleon's bedroom. At the turn of the 19th century, Mona Lisa was finally put in an art museum, Louvre in Paris, where she would get attention she deserved. Back then, she still wasn't a mass cultural star until she vanished. Someone stole the painting. One critic made her work of art worth taking, and he was over the top insanely in love with the painting that he single-handedly snatched it without anyone noticing. It took a real theft to take the Mona Lisa. This is Vincenzo Perugia. He was the mastermind behind the stolen painting. He was an Italian who had worked at the Louvre. On August 21st, 1911, the former Louvre worker lifted the Mona Lisa off the wall and took it home. It took the Louvre a day to even notice, but the media didn't have a huge reaction. The painting went missing for 2 years, and thousands of people went to the Louvre just to see the empty hook hanging on the wall. Over the years, the police thought Picasso was the one who stole it and was questioned, but Picasso claimed he was innocent and had nothing to do with the theft. Meanwhile, Perugia kept the Mona Lisa painting in his flat under his bed for a couple of years in France. He writes to a guy in Florence for a reward in returning the painting back to where she belongs. The guy asks Perugia to come over to Italy, so Perugia goes over to Florence with the painting and hands it over to the guy, but the guy contacted the authority and arrested Perugia that day. When Perugia was caught, he said his goal was to bring Mona Lisa back to her native land, Italy. Perugia was sent to 6 months in jail. By then, she was the most famous painting in the world due, in part, of her absence. After her recovery and 2-week tour in Florence, she was returned to the Louvre, bigger than just art. She was a story and a legend, and was shown in every paper reported her recovery. From that point on, she attracted the presidential speeches. The monumentum never stopped. In the end, Mona Lisa isn't a portrait, but a blank face, a place for critics to paint meaning and people to find mystery. That's why she was so famous, not because how she was painted, but what we see in her.